I think that the simplest way to think about likes is you're passing somebody in the street and you're counting everybody who is walking by you as your lover. It's not. They're just being nice and smiling at you, right? And you accumulate those likes, and don't read too much into it, because what likes don't guarantee is any way for you to reach them again, right? It's all up to the EdgeRank algorithm. The metrics that I really like for social media, about a year and a half ago I invented these 4 metrics, right? And it's conversation rate, amplification rate, and applause rate. And what it measures are things that people are actually engaging with you on. And conversation rate, for example, is the number of comments per post. That's a really great way to understand if your content is of value. You say, oh, you wrote something. Are people having a conversation? Because after all, this channel is called social. It's actual social thing happening. The second one is my favorite metric, which is amplification rate. The number of people who will take your post and amplify it to other people. It's like the single greatest gift your brand can get, because you wrote something so amazing that I am going to put my stamp on it and pass it on to people you might not know. Right, so that's amplification rate. And applause rate is the number of people who like your post, not the page, the post. We're saying thumbs up. Actually, this is a good quality. This is not a good quality. And we have versions of that for Twitter, right? The number of retweets and the number of replies and the number of favorites. Same thing, same metrics. So we can use these metrics for all channels. So conversation, amplification, applause. But then there's one more that I encourage people to measure, which is economic value. Over a long period of time, usually 90 days or more, not short, more. What is the economic value that these people created for your business? And you measure that using tools like Google Analytics, right? And it says, we did all this activity, what is the economic value created? Not revenue, not just sales, economic value created for our company. And so with those 4 metrics, you're focused on the short term, which is conversation, amplification, applause, constantly putting good quality content that's engaging a large audience, people who like you. But economic value understands if over a long term you're doing something that's valuable to the business. I rely on those 4, and after I wrote a post, there's a tool that now measures all this for free for you. It's called truesocialmetrics.com, one word, True Social Metrics. You can use that. It can measure it for all your social channels: YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Pinterest, everything. I tend to think of the world with figuring out how to understand a person's intent, your customer's intent, and solving for that intent, rather than saying, let's shove people down a funnel, or let's just try and brainwash people into buying our products and services. What I believe is, let's understand the intent of the person and deliver a piece of content that's relevant for them at that point. Which means, if you're ready to buy a new pair of glasses, it's like, let's deliver that piece of content, get you to buy a new pair of glasses faster, right? So intent is not just sort of touchy-feely thing that doesn't matter, but actually whatever your intent is. So I think when it comes to digital marketing, I believe that the first thing you should solve for are content and strategies related to people who have very strong commercial intent. Every company that exists in Peru has some way in which commercial intent gets manifested, sometimes online, sometimes offline. Solve that first. And when you solve that first, the fastest thing you should do is find people with that intent. And a great strategy is to do search, organic and paid. Second great strategy, use affiliates, fantastic. And third, email, right? That's where you start. If you want to do anything with digital, start there. Because from day one, you're going to prove to your company you're making money. The thing that everybody loves, you're making money. You're making money online or you're making money offline. Start there. Then the next cluster of things that I'll say is, start talking about people with weaker commercial intent, which means that you're going to buy a car 3 months from now, or you're going to buy a pair of suit 3 weeks from now, or you're going to make another decision. How do you find those people? They might not be coming to your website. How do you find them? And that's where sort of YouTube is really great. Display advertising is really great. So there's a second cluster of things. Solve for weak commercial intent. So the first 2 things you've done is you've told your boss you can make a lot of money. Best place to start. You can make a lot of money.
They will let you do.
That's right. They will let you do other crazy things you actually want to do. But first you have to earn that. Then you say, all right, I have done the strong commercial intent, weak commercial intent. The next best thing is, let me build audiences. And that's when you start to think about Facebook, right? That's when you start to think about Twitter. You start to think about Pinterest. Because there's no commercial activity there, none. But they are very valuable platforms. That's where I go third, right? Let's do that. And build these audiences we can own. We can always have the right to talk to them, as long as we don't suck. right? It's a small requirement, but if you don't suck, you will try that. And then the very last thing I think digital is really great at is figuring out how to use digital to change the lives of our current customers. I don't think that many companies do that really well. I think Vodafone in the UK, maybe American Express, a couple companies are good at this. But for the most part, companies are not good at that. But that's sort of the fourth place I'll go. So every step along the way, you earn money, then you earn some more money, and then you earn some more brand equity, then you figure out how to create lifetime value. And that creates a great package. The problem it's a multifaceted problem, but a couple of the problems are that I think that in companies we don't set up teams to be holistically responsible for the user experience. We say, you are my social person, go get likes. It's stupid. That person will get likes, the stupidest thing in the world. But they are not set up to say, let me actually think about what the hell I'm actually doing and if it's adding value to the company. Right? Because you're not incentivizing the right behavior. So the one good way to solve a problem of sucking or not doing things as great as you deserve to be is to say, we'll set the right set of incentives in place. So it causes people to care more than just their job. And right, be more careful about incentivizing things that are important for the customer of the company. So one good way is pick the right metrics to incentivize. So for example, we go to Movie Star, 3 million likes, 4 people engaged on Facebook with them, 4. 4 divided by 3 million is a very small number, right? Now if we go to Movie Stars, the same social media agency and team and say, we are going to incentivize you to get a higher amplification rate instead of likes. It completely changes the paradigm because they're like, shit, I have to understand who these people are and get them content that they will amplify. Completely different execution strategy, right? A metric does that. Or people who own the marketing campaigns, I said, tell them to measure impressions and reach, but incentivize based on clicks and bounce rate. And it completely changes the paradigm because they say, oh, it's not just important to reach 18 million Peruvians who might not give a shit about my product, but only get to the 100,000 that really care. And then when I bring them to our digital existence, it should be a really good place to see. Those two metrics incentivize behavior. Don't incentivize people on conversion rate because it incentivizes short-term behavior. Incentivize people on assisted conversions. It solves for a much longer time period. So metrics are a really good way to incentivize the right behavior. Another strategy that is I'm a very big fan is, when I was at Intuit, my last company, it was very expensive to do lab usability studies. It was very expensive. I had 5 labs with one-way mirrors and very expensive, right? Because the company was very rich, it could do that. Not every company can do that, right? But now we have these amazing things on the web that you can do online usability. Just search usabilitytesting.com, right? There's so many of them. And do that. What you do is, it's about like $30, $40 a person. You say, I would like these kinds of people to try and do these kinds of things with my digital strategy. And what happens is they'll find the people, they'll give them the task you want them to, they'll make a video of it, and they'll send it to you. It is a great way to feel ashamed of yourself. Because these are real people who are trying to do things you really want them to do, and for $40 a pop, that video will drive change. It will tell you how much you suck. And sometimes, even with the best of intentions, you can't see it. You can't see it, right? You're a good person, you're working really hard, but you can't see it. You need to get another pair of eyes. So that's the other thing I like. I have the right metrics, get another pair of eyes, and you're in business. I really think that any kind of real innovation is centered on a customer problem, not a company problem, not a company desire, not a company goal, not a company product. Any innovation that's going to change the planet, in a big or small way, is absolutely centered in a customer problem, right? So I think it is beyond imperative. So I'll give you a concrete example. I meant to say that earlier today, but at my last company, they were very big fans of Follow Me Homes. And so Intuit makes tax software, it makes accounting software, boring stuff, right? Very profitable, they're very rich. But and what Scott Cook, who's the founder of the company, he loved Follow Me Homes. And he will go to an accountant, he will say, I just want to observe you for half a day, I will give you $500 or $200, whatever, right? Lots of money. And he would just quietly sit about and see how things are organized on their desk. Actually, when they pop open their accounting software, what is around them? What time do they do? What is the first button they touch? What is the first menu item they touch? And they found so many frustrating problems built into the product. It was so crappy because none of the engineers are accountants. It took actually going to the accountant and saying, oh, before they open my program, they line up these documents here, then these here, then these here, and it made no fucking sense. It made no sense, but they were doing it because that's what the software wanted them to do, right? But they fixed the software to address these problems. But we would not have seen those problems unless we went to see the people. Now that's one sort of example of putting the customer first, right? Solving their problem first. And we have so many companies who do that well now. American Express does it really well, and BMW does it really well, and we have tons and tons of examples of this. But for me, innovation is absolutely deeply rooted in understanding consumer behavior, understanding the way that they experience your products, services, and things like that. And it will tell you. I always say that if you want to innovate, don't ask customers how to solve a problem. Just ask them what the problem is. Customers are very bad at telling you how to solve problems because they're customers. They don't know what the hell they're talking about, right? That's your job. Just ask them, help me understand what the problems are. And if they help you understand what the problems are, you will innovate because you are very good at doing that. There are so many small, clever things Google does. So there's a piece of software on my computer that understands my calendar really, really well. And every time I have a meeting, if it notices that I don't have a meeting room, it will alert me and it will book the nearest room to where I'm located. I may be in New York or Boston or something. And the fact that it is so smart is the thing that I really like.
Internet of Things.
It is very clever. It's so clever, but only Googlers can use it. So sadly, it's not public. I think my most favorite public product at the moment is actually just Google's voice commands. It is amazing how good it is, and it is amazing how many things you can say. I will be in cars and sending my wife's email, or my phone is always in the front of my car, and my kids will shout from the back and say, okay, Google, navigate to ice cream. That's all they say. And it knows where we are, it knows where the nearest ice cream is. Over time it learns that my kids like frozen yogurt, not normal kind, and then it will take them to ice cream. And I'm stunned at how good it is. There are lots of features related to voice and the way we interact with phones that I think are changing how frequently we ask questions and look for solutions. So at the moment, that's probably my favorite.